What's up, you guys? Today I'll be discussing with y'all the pros and cons of in-person class versus online class. So I do have my handy notebook here today, and usually I don't do scripts, but these are my notes to help us stay on track here. So we're gonna get started with the pros of online classes. So one of the pros with online classes is you get to go at your own pace. Yep, I feel like you can definitely go at your own pace with online classes. Now, yes, there is typically a due date. Most schools, depending on what school you're from, it might be due Sunday at 11:59 p.m., right? So, let's say you're taking that online class. Let's say you don't do any work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday, you're like, I think I have an extra time to do everything, right? I don't recommend that, but it's not illegal either. So, what do? You complete all your homework on that Saturday, and then boom, you're still on time. You're still on task because you turned in all your work before 11:59 Sunday. So, there is definitely flexibility there. But you don't want to procrastinate, but I will get into more into that part in my next bit. Another pro of online class is that I think it's a great option for full-time workers. If you work a full-time job somewhere and you're taking an online class, I feel like that is a good mesh. That's a good mesh because you're not obligated to go in-person class, but you're still able to do a few online classes. So that way you're still working towards your education, right? Um it's such a great option if you're like not able to just do school full time. That's okay. You can definitely do like one class online, and that's definitely an option. Another pro of online classes is that it builds self discipline. It just comes with it because when you are taking online classes, it requires a lot of like effort on your end. You have to want it. You have to want it, because with online class, it is easier to just kind of forget about it. Say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then boom, Sunday, everything is due Sunday. So it's something to think about if you're someone who kind of struggles with the like giving yourself motivation to do things. Online class might be a slight challenge for you. It's not impossible, but it might be a slight challenge for you if you're not willing to change that part. But another pro of online class is that there is no commute time. No commute time. You don't have to go to. Who's honking? Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Someone was honking up. Never mind that. But anyways, the other pro, as I was saying, is that there is no commute time. You don't have to go anywhere. Like, you can just literally open up your laptop, open up your iPad, and then boom, your homework and everything is all there, right? Now, okay, there may be some professors that want you to take the final exam that's like typically towards the end of the semester, right? They'll want you to go in person. That's not the case for all professors. I find that most professors just do everything online. Everything online. So that's a good thing. You don't have no commute time. You don't have to deal with like parking or parking permits and all that stuff. So we've discussed the pros of online classes, but now let's discuss the cons of online classes. So let me close this window. Damn dogs. Not my dogs. You can't have dogs here. But anyways, okay. So the cons of online classes is that you're on your own. You're on your own. You have to really, like I was saying, you have to really push yourself. There's no one there. There's no teacher, no like other fellow classmates, or no one there to like for you. You have to be there for you. Another con with online classes is that there is very little to no social interaction. I mean, none. The closest social interaction that you'll get is discussion responses from your peers. That's about it. unless someone reaches out to you personally through, well, my school uses Canvas. I don't know if y'all use Canvas or whatever platform you're on, unless someone reaches out to you specifically, which is who does that for online. So, yeah, there's pretty much no social interaction when it comes to taking online classes. You're pretty much just taking the class, you're, probably in contact with the professor now and then boom, you're done. So, there's that. And then the other con with online classes is that there's always going to be technology involved. You need to make sure your Wi-Fi bill is paid. You got to make sure you're somewhere where you can use Wi-Fi. You got to make sure you have a working device. And if there's any local power outages or anything like that, then you're kind of like in a tough spot with that. At least with in-person classes, if there's a power outage, then okay, the teacher's aware of it. They can make adjustments, I'm sure they can make adjustments for that if there's a local power outage for online, like if you're taking online classes. But it gets a little tricky. It gets a little tricky there. So yeah, you got to make sure all your technology is on point. So now we're done talking about online classes. Now let's talk about in-person classes. We're going to start with the pros of in-person class. So, one of the pros with in-person classes is that you get live feedback. So, when you're showing up to the lectures, you can ask questions that moment. So, like, as a professor is like lecturing everything, if you have a question, you're like, hey, can you please go over this concept again? And then, boom, magic happens. Then you understand, right? And it's also good, like, if you're struggling in that class, if it's a class you're struggling in, you can ask the teacher, like, probably at the end of the lecture or whenever you feel comfortable, like, hey, I know I'm struggling in this class. I noticed my grade is not where I want it to be. How can I improve? You can ask them, like, in that moment, instead of versus online class, typing it out, emailing it to them, wait for their response 5 business days later. No. In-person classes, you get a live feedback. You get a live response. Okay, especially if you show up to class on time and show up regularly, show that you want to be there, then your professor is likely going to want to help you. Another pro of in-person class is that you definitely have a sense of belonging, whether you want it or not. I feel like you'll just get that because you're in a room full of people that just want to learn and better themselves, and it's great, right? You're surrounded by that. Another pro of in-person class is that it's easy as heck to make friends. If you're like someone that just wants to have friends or like network with people, it's a great opportunity because you're already there in person. And what better way to make friends? I mean, you're all there for the same purpose anyway, so I feel like that is a great start to make new friends. Another pro of in person is that it is a set schedule. You don't have to, like, if you're someone who struggles to like have self-motivation, you don't have to figure out anything. You just have to show up, right? It's a set schedule. Like, okay, I'm supposed to be on class on a Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to have to do this from this time and this time, right? It's just better for those who, I feel like in-person classes are definitely needed for those who are first starting out for college, because it gives them like that structure. Online classes, I feel if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would definitely take in-person classes over the online thing because, well, look it, I'm 24 and I'm still here, but it's okay. But anyways, yeah, I would definitely do in-person classes because I feel like I would have been more on track and more on top of things. With online, I think after taking one semester of in-person classes, then do online. That's my opinion. Because you kind of get familiar with the college life and everything like that before just jumping in online by yourself. But now we discussed all the good, fabulous things of in-persons, but now we're going to talk about the cons of in-person classes. I just realized I said in-persons. But y'all know what I mean. Okay, so one of the cons of in-person classes is that it is not nearly as flexible as the online classes. So, like I said, you have a set schedule when it comes to the in-person classes because usually the professors have like maybe 1 or 2 days or however many days, like, hey, you're gonna be here from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Now that's set, you have to be there. And then also another possible con with that is, for the most part, the professors grade you based on your attendance too. It may be a small part, or it depends on whatever professor you have, but they can grade you on that. If you're not showing up and if you're not doing the work, your grade's gonna just go lower and lower and lower. So that's something to think about. If you think that you're not going to be able to make your classes consistently, don't do online classes, or I mean, don't do in-person classes just yet. Wait until your schedule is cleared so that way you will be able to do that and show up on a consistent basis. Another con with in-person classes is the commuting. You have to commute and you have to deal with parking permits, finding parking if you're in a big school. And that can be a lot. That can be a lot to do. It's not impossible, but it's something to think about. But yeah, I think that is it for my pros and cons of online and in-person school. I think I'll definitely be making a part 2 on this, so make sure to be tuned for that. So without anything else, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time.